Shane Van Gisbergen does not get mad on camera very often. He keeps his cool, gives short answers, and moves on. But after what happened on Sunday in San Diego, the guy they call SVG was so angry he barely wanted to talk at all, and when he did speak, every word felt like ice. So let's break down what really went down at Naval Base Coronado, and why SVG is now pointing the finger straight at Austin Hill. First, some quick background. NASCAR went to San Diego for the very first time ever. It was the inaugural NewsLine 250, run right on a Navy base. A brand new track, 16 turns, 3.5 miles long. Nobody in the field had any real experience there. Well, nobody except maybe SVG, because this guy turns into a different animal on road courses. Going into the race, he was the heavy favorite. The betting odds had him at -160. He had already won 7 Cup races, all of them on road courses. He was just 1 win away from tying Tony Stewart's all-time NASCAR record of 8 road race wins. And before the race, SVG was actually annoyed about being called the favorite. He said, "It pissed me off. I feel it disrespects my competition, and I hold my competitors at a high level." Then he went out and grabbed the pole anyway. That's his 6th Cup pole, by the way. So the stage was set. SVG on pole, his teammate Connor Zilisch right there with him. Austin Hill in a Richard Childress Racing Chevy, fresh off a huge emotional win the day before. That Saturday win was the team's first since the death of NASCAR legend Kyle Busch, and team owner Richard Childress was crying in victory lane. Hill said about that moment, "Seeing Richard get emotional hit us all. This win is for all 300 people who work in our organization." So Hill was riding high coming into Sunday. The race itself was already wild before the big crash. SVG gave up his Stage 1 points on purpose, trying to set himself up for the win at the end. Smart move on paper. But on the actual track, things got messy. He led early. Then he started complaining the car was loose. Ryan Blaney and Ryan Preece both passed him. There was contact with Preece. Then on lap 24, SVG got tangled with Chris Buescher, and Buescher spun sideways right across the track. By some miracle, nobody hit him. No caution, no pileup, just dumb luck. Then on lap 30, the yellow flag finally came out when Brent Cruz, who was actually filling in for Christopher Bell mid-race, had his engine blow up. SVG was running third. He stayed out instead of pitting. Austin Hill lined up first. Connor Zilisch lined up second on the outside. SVG was right behind them in third. This is where it all falls apart. The green flag waves. SVG gets a great launch. So good, actually, that for a second, he is 3 wide with Hill and Zilisch heading toward turn 1. But SVG is smart. He knows 3 wide into a tight corner on a brand new street course is asking for trouble. So he lifts. He backs out of it. He gave them room. He later explained, "I got a pretty good start and then kind of backed out of it to let them go. I obviously didn't want to be 3 wide and then not good from there." So now Hill is on the inside, Zilisch is on the outside, and SVG is sitting third with a full head of steam. Then Hill blows the corner. He goes way too deep into turn 1. He cannot make the apex. His car starts sliding. He drifts wide and slams Zilisch straight into the outside wall. Both leaders are now scrubbing off speed in the worst possible spot. SVG has nowhere to go. He plows right into the back of Hill and spins. In 1 second, the top 3 runners in the race were destroyed, and it didn't stop there. Daniel Suarez got caught up, Ryan Blaney, Michael McDowell, Riley Herbst, John Hunter Nemechek, Ty Gibbs. 9 cars total in one of the ugliest pileups of the season. NASCAR threw the red flag, the first red flag ever at Naval Base Coronado, and they had to spend about 10 minutes fixing the wall before they could even get the race back to a yellow flag. Now here is where it gets really interesting. Hill came on his radio almost right away and admitted he messed up. He said, "Sorry guys, locked up the rear brakes. I think the left rear is pretty destroyed." Locked up the rear brakes. He blew the corner. He knew it. Later, after he got out of the care center, Hill gave the full story. He said, "I got into turn 1 a little deep and started sliding. I was sliding the rears, and I slid the fronts a little bit. On corner exit, I was fully locked to the right just trying to stay off the number 88. He kept going, saying he carried a little too much entry pace compared to what I had been doing all day. and then he basically said it was a chain reaction. Right when I touched him and he got in the wall, it sucked me into him and I couldn't stay off of him. He also apologized straight to Zilisch and the team. But Zilisch was not in a forgiving mood. The 19-year-old rookie was leading laps in a cup race for the very first time in his career when this happened, and he was clear about who he blamed. He said, "He was pretty far from the wall and didn't give me any space. Then he made it stronger." He said, "I wouldn't call it aggressive. I'd call it a little more egregious than that. That's how it goes sometimes." Egregious. That is not a word drivers throw around when they think it was just a racing deal. Zilisch also said the hit was brutal. It was a big hit. "Concrete walls are no joke, but I'm thankful for the safety of these cars and how far we've come as an industry." And on losing the chance to fight for the win, he said, "It stings." When you have a chance to go and win a race and you're in a prime spot and you get put in a position like that, it's extremely tough. Then there is SVG. And honestly, his reaction said more than any long answer ever could. When the reporters got to him, he was clearly angry. He refused to even talk about what caused the crash. He just said, "Ask some next guys." That was it. 4 words. When they asked him if it was a racing incident, he said, "It's just unfortunate." When they asked him how disappointed he was, he gave the line that became the headline everywhere. He said, "I'm filthy." He did open up just a little bit about his car. He said, "A real shame. The Red Bull Chevy was really fast once the track rubbered up. A real shame." But that was as much as he gave them. Now, here is the part that really hurts SVG. This wasn't just about losing one race. This is about the championship. NASCAR's regular season is 26 races, and only the top 16 drivers make the playoffs, what they call the chase. SVG went into San Diego, sitting 14th in points. A strong run there would have locked him in safely. Instead, the crash dropped him all the way down to 17th, below the cut line. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Ross Chastain are all right behind him pushing for that spot. And get this, SVG had given up his stage 1 points on purpose to chase the win. So, he left San Diego with exactly 1 point. 1. He already knows next week at Sonoma is huge. He said, "Luckily we've got a good next week, but unfortunately we'll be in Group 1 qualifying again, which makes it tougher. Just gotta go and execute." A win at Sonoma would tie him with Tony Stewart for the all-time NASCAR road course record at 8, and he'd be doing it in just 3 years in the sport. Meanwhile, while all this drama was happening, Corey Heim took advantage of the chaos and grabbed the very first Cup win of his career. The race had what one report called a survival of the fittest feel to it. With so many of the fast cars wrecked, the door opened up, and Heim walked right through it. But the story everyone is talking about is SVG. 1 word: filthy.